And then there's one more person in the audience that I'm going to have come up, and her name is Tara, and she has she's a writer for a journal, and I just want her to tell you like how you can, like I was talking about the publicity and how you can get the word out to people, and she's just going to tell you a little bit about her magazine journal and how you can submit stuff for there.
How are you?
Tara from Cincinnati.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Good.
There you go.
Oh, yes, I remember. Yeah. I sure will.
There you go.
Do we charge for autographs?
Yeah, just, I mean, we're down to, what, 500 for that.
Tara?
Go ahead,
Thank you,
Tara.
Reid. Thank you. Gosh, so I've been listening so much this weekend to everything that Reid and Wayne are telling you guys. And from my side of things, I am the platform. So I wanted to take a minute to give you guys this perspective. I'm the publisher of a healthy living magazine based in Cincinnati, but online we're viewed all over the world. And I also co-host a weekly radio show. So how do I decide who makes the cut, right? Don't you want to know that? And one of the things
And what's the name of your journal and radio? Tell them
I guess I
that.
should say that. Huh? Whole Living Journal. The web address is wholelivingjournal.com, and that's going to be important because I'm going to tell you that I will accept article submissions from all of you who are here. I'll tell you more about that in just a moment. I'm not going to guarantee publishing it, but I will promise that I will personally look at it. wholelivingjournal.com, and the radio show is Waves of a New Age on Tuesdays, but there are also podcasts out there. Marianne Williamson, Greg Braden, we have lots of Hay House authors on the program. So Reid has talked a lot about the importance of editing your material. And I can't stress that enough because we receive books all the time from self-published authors. And if it is not well edited, it immediately hits the trash can. And these are from people, sometimes there'll be a little cover letter that says, oh, I'm a writer, I've been writing my whole life, but I decided to self-publish to save the money from going with a traditional publisher and on and on. And I can tell immediately if it has been professionally edited or not. And we receive books all the time that we're not really interested in reviewing, and we'll find a good home for them. We give them away at a lot of our events. But the ones that are not well edited, they truly go into the garbage. That is where they go. That's how important it is to have it well edited. Another thing that they've talked a lot about is the importance of the illustrations and having it professionally illustrated, your cover design, but that also is the inside of the book. Sometimes we receive books that are really creatively done with different font styles, different spacing, different font sizes. I'm telling you, it just doesn't look good and it doesn't work. And it's not something that we're interested in covering, okay? So as far as getting noticed, some of the big keys, first of all, once you get past the door and that your material is good, follow up is huge. I cannot stress this enough. Let me tell you what my experience is on my side of the desk. Okay, so hundreds of emails are sent to us every day. That's a lot of mail to go through. Okay, so we're kind of flying through it. We're blazing through it. We can't get back to everybody. Something might look good. It looks good, right? I'm interested in it, so I flag it. I have 700 flagged messages in my inbox. So even the flagged messages will get buried. I'll think, oh, I really should get back to that person. I'll do it tomorrow. And tomorrow comes, and the next day comes, right? So then they might follow up with me. They might send an email. I just want to make sure that you received what I sent. And I'll think, oh, yeah, I was going to get back to that person, but I'm in the middle of 10 other things at the moment, especially if it's during our print deadline. And I think, oh, I'll get back to them tomorrow. And I don't. And the really wise authors will follow up again. And now I see their name for a third time. And you know what happens this time is I feel rude. Now I feel like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I haven't gotten back to this person because they're still really nice. I haven't heard from you. I haven't received a no. I just want to check on my material. And what's going on in my mind is, oh yeah, and it was really good. I just didn't have time to get back to you. So please realize that follow-up is extremely, extremely important. Another thing that's really important, and they've mentioned this as well, is following guidelines. Please, you guys, do your homework. There's nothing worse than the articles that are sent to us, because articles are a really great way to promote your book and promote your material. I'll talk to you about that in just a second. But there's nothing worse than the articles that come to us, and they're way over our word limit. It would take so much time editing. Even if it's good, we don't look at it. As soon as I see that it's 1,400 words instead of 500 words, I'm thinking that's a time suck for me. It doesn't matter how good it is. I'm not going to invest my time and energy into editing it down to 500 words, so it's gone. If it doesn't come with the 50-word author bio, if it doesn't come with the photo, that's extra work for me to have to track those things down. It's so much easier to get a yes if you make my job easy. Just like you were saying, attach the 10 interview questions, right? Mm-hmm. It makes it so much easier to say yes to those interviews. I don't have to spend hours and hours researching this person and reading all of their material to know what I'm going to ask them. It's really helpful to have those prompts. Plus, I know that I'm asking them what they're really good at answering. But I also do love to interview. I'm a huge conversationalist, and I love to ask questions. So those are the big keys. Now, in terms of what I have to offer, I have such a heart for all of the dreams that are in this room. I can just feel it, like physically feel it, how much you guys really want this to happen. I can feel, isn't there a physical sensation to the burning desires that are in this room? It is really crazy. So I want to see if I can help you with that. Like I said, I'm not going to guarantee that we'll publish anything, but I can promise you that I will look at it. Go to our website, submit an article to us. Please do your homework on what our guidelines are. Send it nice and clean. And put in the subject line my name, Tara Robinson. Put that right in the subject line. Tara.
And tell them the website one more time.
WholeLivingJournal.com. And it's Tara Robinson. Put that in the subject line, and then right away in your very first sentence, say, I was at the Hay House Writers Conference in Fort Lauderdale. Put that right away in there. And I feel comfortable offering this to all of you and saying, I promise I'll read what you send to me, because just like Reid, I know that only a handful of you are actually going to do it. It's 100% true. You speak truth. You speak great truth. Okay, if you have any questions, just find me. And really quickly, Reid, could I quickly tell the story of how I got here? It's a great story.
Real quick.
Real quick. Okay, I promise to be super fast. No, it's a fascinating story. So because of my connection with the publicist at Hay House, Lindsay McGinty is the one who works the most closely with Dr. Dyer. I was selected as one of only 10 people to take part in a teleconference call with Dr. Dyer about his new book. He wasn't doing individual interviews, so he wasn't going to be on my show, but I had the opportunity to ask him one question. And she said, do you want to be a part of this call? We don't know when it's going to happen, but you have a spot if you'd like it. I said, yes, yes, yes. I want it. Well, then it was scheduled. She told me what the date and time was, and it turned out I was going to be on a plane coming back from Dallas. You can't do it when you're on a plane, right? I mean, you all know you can't use your cell phones when you're on the plane. It was like the absolute situation that there was no way I could do this call. And I didn't want to give up my spot because I was like, oh, please, please. But I did tell her there was a possibility that I may not be able to do it. And I was hoping in the back of my mind that something would work out. And it did. It did work out that I wasn't going to be on the plane like at the last minute. Our whole trip to Dallas was canceled. That's a long story in and of itself. But I was able to participate in the call. So the next thing was I hadn't received the book yet. So it's the day before the call, and the book shows up. And I'm like so excited to talk to Dr. Dyer and so excited to ask him one question. I didn't know how I was ever going to ask just one question. So I'm trying to fly through the book, but I loved the book. There was no way to fly through this book because I'm absorbed in every single page. So it's time for the call, and I'm like, okay, what is the one question I'm going to ask Dr. Dyer? Well, one of the biggest questions always on my heart is how to balance the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. How do we know the wisdom between when to push and when to let go, when to accept and when to really drive through with our burning desire, right? So that ended up being my question. Well, I interviewed Dr. Dyer on the same day of my radio show. So the teleconference call was just recorded. That was not on the air, but I went to the radio show later that day, and I spoke on the air about my call with Dr. Dyer. And I said, here's the question I decided to ask him about, and I shared his answer, which was a fabulous answer, by the way. And when we went to a musical break, the phone immediately rang, and I answered it, and I had said I was going to take callers and put them through on the air. So I answered the phone, and I said, hello, if you hold on just a moment, I'll patch you through on the air. And the caller said, I don't want to go on the air. And I said, oh, well, okay. Anyway, he had this amazing story of passing through Cincinnati, happened to land on our show right when I was talking about the Serenity Prayer, and confided that he had been planning his suicide for the past 12 days. He worked as a nurse, had been working as a nurse for many years, and had always told himself if he received a specific diagnosis, he didn't want to live to see the end of it. And that is exactly what happened. And so he was really methodically planning his suicide. He heard me talking about the Serenity Prayer and Dr. Dyer's answer, and he said, I just decided I don't want to die. So I wrote a letter to Wayne, and I said, guess what happened after our teleconference? And he published my letter in his newsletter that goes out around the world. All of a sudden, I was receiving mail from like Japan and Norway and Sweden and all these places, and I was like, what is going on? Because I didn't even know he had published it. So it turned out that that's what was going on. And so because all of this was very public, my co-host of the radio show, Judy Peace, saw the information about the Writers' Conference, and she said, Tara, you have to go. You have to go and meet Dr. Dyer in person. Simultaneously, my friend Ray Ash was in Hawaii at the Divine Love Conference and was getting Dr. Dyer's signature for me on one of my magazines, which was very cool. It's a prized possession of mine. And so my co-host said, Tara, you've got to go to this writers' conference. And she said, we as a community want to support you to go. In less than 2 days, they raised 90% of the money to send me here. All travel expenses and everything. In less than a week, 100% of the money was in. And that is how I'm here today.
Awesome. So. Well, thank you, Tara.
All right.
Oh my God.
And don't forget your book.